Welcome to Sainsbury's at Badger Farm in Winchester. Just came in this morning, it's a Tuesday morning, to get a little bit of shopping. And as I do when I'm in these big superstores, I always look at the electronics section to see if there's anything of interest in there really, like that tape recorder I reviewed a few years ago. Since COVID, pickings have been very slim. But I saw something this morning, hugely discounted, that I've seen before at full price. Usual price is £80, but it turns out these are now remaindered down to 30, and I got the last one. Yes, it's, as you see there, a Sony CD cassette boombox. I know nothing about these really. I've seen them knocking around before and considered buying one, but other than that, I think, didn't Techmoan cover one of these, or did he import these from Japan? Don't know. Anyway, 30 quid. And I don't know if the cassette deck's going to be mono. I don't know if it's got Bluetooth or anything, but at that price, I thought for Vision 2, it's worth grabbing. So let's get back to the studio to have a look and see what lies within. So I have returned from the supermarket, and you'll be thinking, Ginny, why did you buy that? I know it was only 30 quid, but what are you doing with that Sony boombox? Well, regular viewers of the channel will remember a while back, a couple of years ago, a bit over that, I found this beast at the local charity shop, which I found very interesting, a Sharp boombox. Very nice it is too, especially with the new speakers I've put in it. It's very loud, it's got a twin tape deck, it's a bit dusty because it sits in my office, but it works very well. Very good FM radio in it, and it's nice sometimes if I've got all the bits down there, but I can put it on the radio on in the office, and it sounds absolutely great. I mean, just blows everything away, especially with the new speakers in it. And well, I'd seen those Sony boomboxes. Let me put the Sony Sharp back down there a second. Vision 2, where we're always very polished. I'd seen these Sony boomboxes on sale. Now, the RRP, as I say, was £80. I've seen them about 65, and just checking online today, Argos has them 60 quid, I think. And I looked at them and I saw, and I know people are going to say, Techmoan reviewed one of these many, many years ago. Yes, of course he did, because that's what Techmoan does. This is Vision 2. Not even the main channel where I just do this stuff, and I'm interested in. I really can't remember what Techmoan had to say. I can't even remember if he found this thing was mono or stereo, because it does have a tape deck in it, and that's the interesting thing really. This is the last one in the Sainsbury's store in Winchester where I was earlier, and really I always walk over to the electronics section just to go, is there anything interesting there? And it just never is these days. We had that other portable tape deck on Vision a while ago as well, and the little Walkman style one. But let's have a look and see what we've got here. We have got a Sony personal audio system CFD S70. It has a CD, if you can see that there, cassette, FM AM, no DAB, boombox, FM AM again there, CDR, rewritable MP3 playback, so it does that. Audio in, cassette records and plays, yeah, but is it stereo? Favourite radio stations, I think you'll find Greatest Hits Radio have taken care of that one for us all. Bit of satire for you there. Sleep timer, mega bass, enhanced bass. Should I turn the bass up on here? Mega bass. We need to crank that even more. On the side, he just says the same thing. I can't show you here, but it says AC or battery powered, and there's a diagram. And anything else on the other side? Surprise, surprise, it's made in China. It dates from 2016. And it is security protected, although that's Sainsbury's who've put that on there. It was wrapped up in a thing which the woman had to take off. Shall we open it up and see what we get inside? Thanks to the Chinny Vision patrons who fund this madness, and they're probably thinking, Chinny, we pay you to do video games, not boom boxes. But it's this kind of thing that I'm really enthusiastic about this, because I'd seen them and I just thought, it's a Sony. it's not going to be rubbish. It can't be rubbish. It's Sony. I'm a Sony fanboy, but I had all Sony hi-fi separates back in the early 2000s. I've still got my turntable, my Sony turntable. My amplifier sadly failed a long time ago. I sold my tuner, my twin aerial tuner. It had 2 aerial inputs on it, to a man in Greece. And I have my tape deck, which you've seen on Cinevision before. It's down there. So I've still got some of my Sony separates. Sony, they're the kings of this stuff. They build really nice stuff. I've got a Sony TV. I'm sure people will say, I can get a better TV than Sony these days. I had a Samsung for 10 years and I'm never really happy with it. And I changed to a bottom end Sony and it's way better. Of course it is. It's 10 years newer. So what do we get inside? Apologies if this angle is really, really awkward. We get a manual. Is it one that kind of, it looks like a Sony. It's all, I mean, this, is this a proper Sony or is this one of those things like that, that tape deck I had for the computer where they use some old brand that's got really good brand recognition, but in fact it's just some shonky company knocking these things out. I don't think Sony do that. I think Sony are still enough around to do things properly. Oh, don't bang the microphone. Bang the camera. Anything else in there? Oh, it's a figure. Right, that's good. That's a good start, I think. If that's right. Because I was expecting some annoying 12-volt adapter. And what we actually have is a figure of 8 power lead. So this is a good start. It's standard. It's a standard power lead. Let's undo this. Because, again, that Spectrum tape deck I've got that I reviewed. Oh, what's the brand? It's nice and long as well. Uses a 12-volt supply. Right, need to get in here. How do I get in here? Oh, scissors, clearly. Not quite as big as I thought it would be, but let's have a look. If you're new to Cinevision, by the way, I usually look at computers and games on Cinevision 1. Oh, it's dinky. It's dinky. Wow. It is very dinky. Can you see that? Get behind the camera there. It extends back further than I was expecting as he treads on the bubble wrap and it goes pop. Lots of buttons on there. Take that off there. That's for the tape. Oh, yeah. You know, the mark of a good tape deck is it goes, you press the button, it's soft touch, and it goes, here's your tape. And then you get those ones that go, bam! Throw your tape at you. This is a throw your tape at you tape deck, which probably tells us a lot. Let's get the sharp up and just contrast. Here's the sharp. There you go, sir. Here's your tape for you. Versus have it. Oh, is the CD mechanism as violent? I used to have a 70s hi-fi when I was a teenager, like third hand, and it had a fantastically violent tape deck. Boing! It used to come up. Oh, no button. No button. No, you just have you flick that up on there. Classy. It's your 80 quid in action there if you paid full price for this. Batteries go in the bottom there. So it's imported by Sony Europe. C-cells from that retro touch. 6. I think that's about the same again as the sharp down there. I think that's 6 or 8. Even that feels a bit... I mean, it looks like a Sony. You put that down in front of someone, that looks like a Sony. It's only these little kind of... these bits that feel... I mean, it's not cheap plastic. Well, no. Okay, it could be cheaper plastic, but it's not super cheap plastic. Ooh. Yeah, crunchy. Yeah, anything in the instructions that we need to, if they... Let's have a look and see what the instructions say. I've lost something. I've lost the CE mark. Oh, right. That's more just guff. Do not expose this apparatus to rain or moisture. Oh, we don't even get a proper booklet. We just get a piece of paper that stretches out. Oh dear. Battery's not included. Fine. Has a low battery feature. Has a power management feature for the European models only. The unit enters standby automatic after 15 minutes if there's no operation or audio signal output. There's not a lot of excitement here. You can make your favourite radio stations. Has it got a line in there? Optional components. It has an audio in jack. I'm seeing no sign of any mention of Bluetooth or anything like that. There is no luxury there. Oh, troubleshooting. A small humming noise is heard from the radio. This is not a malfunction. You may hear a small humming noise from the radio depending on the status of the power supply. Nice. I've never ever seen a troubleshooting guide that basically excuses something that the unit's doing like that. Oh, tape deck section, recording system, 4-track, 2-channel stereo. Okay, that means it's a stereo deck. I really wasn't expecting what's the company's name? Tanashkin, something like that. Who are the only people who make tape deck mechanisms these days. Use type 1 tapes only, type 2, type 3. So type 2 and type 3 tapes are not supported, so it can't support Chrome. We can support Chrome, just, you can't adjust the bias for it. Okay, let's plug her in and see what we get, shall we? Right, it is plugged in and it says standby on the display there, if you can see that. And what buttons do we need to press? It's on CD player mode. And let's go FM. Oh. Has it got a decent sized aerial? It has a passable aerial. So you can hear this. I'm going to try and just turn my... You're going to hear me nude, because I'm going to turn my audio processing off. This is me. This is how it sounds. Right, all the audio processing's off. Let's try and put the microphone down there, so you can hear it. Well, I've had a quick tune round and the FM radio doesn't seem too bad. I've tuned it to the local BBC radio station, Radio Solent. 96.1, getting nothing on this radio. I detune it slightly. You can kind of get something, but...
Everything he's ever done.
96.15 gives me audio. Got a little Sony here with the aerial down. Turn it on. Turn it on.
When he is confronted with his past and his daughter, and he's not...
Aerial down on the little Sony here. Picks it up.
Within.
The big one,
You have to find...
absolutely silent. So that could be computer equipment in the room interfering with it, but it seems weird that the little Sony here happily...
There's a subtext to this, there's a depth to this. You get under the skin.
Not great, but the aerial's not even up.
There is a lot
Put the aerial up, and
brutality in it, but there's also a lot.
that's fine. Whereas the Sony down there Seems to pick up most things, but it's not the most sensitive FM radio from what I can see. It's, yeah. But the overall sound, which I can't really convey on this radio, is kind of what you'd expect. Not great on the bottom end, not great on the top end, but it is perfectly serviceable as a general boombox for, I'd say, let's put my other radio down there. If you were painting or something like that, you wanted a radio that you just want to slap in a room and you don't mind messing up a bit. I mean, like I did with this one, you can see this one's got paint on it. Well, I can tell you how it got paint on it was I was painting this room here. I listened to the radio when I was doing it. It's a brilliant little Sony. It has DAB as well. And it's not the most sensitive FM radio, that one either. But this seems to be worse sensitivity than that. What's it like on AM? If we can get anything on AM with all the computer equipment on and everything else. Let's try Radio 5 Live. If we can pick up that up. That's a little bit difficult to pick up down here on the south coast. $693. AM might be a dead loss. I wonder if it goes down to long wave. I'm not hugely surprised. What's the local relay of whatever is on 1170 these days? Ocean Sound for the OAPs in the audience like me. Oh, 1170. No, it's not. You're not. I mean, that's all the computer equipment in here is going to absolutely kill AM. But yeah, it's a functional FM receiver. From what I can see, it picked up. I mean, I've not been able to show you any of the music stations, radios 1, 2, 3, and all the other stuff. Everything's Heart FM and greatest hits these days, isn't it? It seems to pick up all the strong stations fine, apart from Radio Solent, which it should pick up but can't. But that, well, little radio could. So yeah, let's see what. Well, it's going to play a CD, I assume. I mean, it's just going to play a CD, right? Let me get a CD before we get on to the exciting bit that you've probably all fast-forwarded to, the tape deck. Right, CD picked at random. Just want to see if it plays it and how quickly it spins it up. Again, I'm not going to play you any of the audio because of YouTube copyright reasons. But there's a CD. It is Vic Reeves and the Wonder Stuff. Oh, yes. How long does it take to play it? CD play? CD play? Because some of these cheaper CD players take forever to spin up and get going. CD play? Hello, you spinning up? No, got to push it down or anything like that. Have I not taken any? Is there a protective thing on there? CD play. Play mode. Play. CD play. Ah. It had gone into some kind of standby mode. Here we go, it's reading it. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it wasn't too slow. I'll just have a quick listen to see how this sounds. So my overall impression of sound quality just listening to this is it's a pair of small speakers in a large box and it clearly sounds quite boxy and MIDI. There's nothing... The sound quality isn't great. It can only be described as adequate. Your CD controls are here. You hold down to fast forward and you just, to forward a track, you just press it once. It's all fairly intuitive. Displays on the display there. And you can pause it and you can set various play mode. You need to press stop first. It would basically nag you. So you've got a loop mode and you can program it up as well. It's got all the usual CD things in it. It is functional. just a functional CD player. Again, doesn't really belie the Sony quality well compared to the rivals, because of course there are other boomboxes on the market now. Quite Roberts have got one, Panasonic have got one out as well, and there's all those no-name brand ones you see in Aldi and Lidl and so on, names like Crown or GPO and stuff like that. Some of them have CD players, some of them don't, and it's certainly, the ones I've seen of that, better than those kind of no-name ones. But it is wholly unremarkable. Let's find a tape and see what kind of things we have going on with that. I don't have any commercially recorded tapes in the office, but I do have tapes from our student radio station from many years ago. The 12th and 13th of March 2001, apparently. Right, so let's pop that in there. It's going to go in upside down. And obviously, I will do a proper sound quality test later in this video, which is already going on for far too long. But so well done if you're still with me. But if you want to see this review properly, go and see Techmoan, because he'll have done it properly. Well, that was the other way around from what I was expecting. Okay, that's fine. Is that rewind or is that fast? Which one's rewind and which one's fast forward? Oh, so, right, rewind is there. All the buttons are the wrong way round. Oh, it's like it's reversed. Okay, so that's fast forward. There's no counter on the tape, which is annoying, especially because you can't see the tape. Mechanism is really, really clicky and cheap.
Oh, no, he's banned. No, he's banned. Yeah, you must have Britain for Argentina. That's plausible. But my favourite, the Home Secretary's driver was caught doing, again, 103 miles an hour, and his excuse was, I thought the Home Secretary was at risk. Well, surely if you're doing 103 miles an hour, anyone's at risk, you know. I think you're putting him at risk more by doing that crazy manoeuvre. Blimey. Okay, still to come tunes from Usher and Black.
So, on speech, actually, it's far more tolerable than it is on music, because I think the frequency response to the speakers is more centred to speech. So if you're listening to something like TalkSport all day on AM, granted, you are probably going to be okay with this. We will do some proper analysis on the tape in a minute, but my first impressions are, I mean, it is stereo. It is a stereo deck. No question, which is a huge improvement on all these mono ones knocking around. It is, however, really, really cheap, but that's what you'd expect. I think what we're looking at there, I can't quite see. I've had a look round inside. There's two types of arrays, because this thing records. There's two types of arrays head you can get for tape recorders. The electromagnet ones, which is what all your decent ones have, and then ones that just use a kind of normal communal garden magnet to erase the tape before it's recorded on. And I think this has got a magnetic kind of head on there. I don't think it says anything on the specs about that. I mean, it doesn't have the well flutter meters figures, so I can't see anything on there. No. That's so yeah, I mean, making recordings on this thing, well, it's got a line input somewhere on it, but whether you're actually going to be able to use it for recording, I suspect the recordings are going to be quite noisy. Where's the line in on this? As he drops the tape on the floor. Oh, it's got headphone out and audio in on the side there. On the side, that's interesting. That means we can do things with the mixing desk. So what I've done is I've plugged the headphone out into the mixing desk. I've got my tape in here. And as I say, this is a tape recorded 20 years ago. So it's not going to be perfect. It's a home recording in effect, or a kind of not a commercial recording, but it's going to hopefully be copyright free because there's no music on it. So I'm going to press play, fade it up.
Right. In some crazy way. What does pop your collar mean? Pop your clogs means, but surely that's not great. That's not a great R&B tune, is it? R&B track.
So first thing I'm noticing is it's a bit one-legged in terms of the mixing desk. If I fade it back up again.
If only that were true. Right, we were talking about your excuses for speeding. I'm just going to cough. Just bear with me. There we go.
Now that could be the recording, but it might also be the desk. I'm also hearing a little bit of a hum through the recording. Not so much when it's playing.
He was
You notice it just when I...
His story, driving along, I saw the flashing lights in the...
I'm not sure if that hum's present the entire time, but there is certainly some kind of hum when the tape deck mechanism is engaged that quickly gets cut out by the circuitry inside. And again...
Maybe mirror. Yeah. And he thought a police car was trying to overtake him to get to like a more important job. So what did he do? Puts his foot down, the idiot. Starts accelerating away from this
The
police.
mega bass control is your only tone control you've got on the entire thing. You can't adjust anything other than that. It just adds more bass in, including onto the earphone out. I'm just going to try the CD, but I'm not going to let you hear what's on the CD just to see if the hum is present on there. We need to go... No CD. I need to put the CD in. So put a CD in. Let's see if that hum is present. Yes, there are humming noises depending on what's going on in the machine. So I'm thinking that things perhaps aren't as shielded as they could be. If I press play, you press stop and it goes away. I'm going to turn it right up so you can hear it. Did you hear that? It's very low level, but I'm not turning the gain up on the mixing desk that much. So that warning in the manual, they know, Sony know this unit is noisy. And it won't matter. Again, if you're decorating a room or something, it's really not going to matter. But if you are transferring your CDs and cassette recordings from this device, I'm already going to say, even without testing the frequency response on the deck, forget it. It's putting out too much noise. It'll be fine for perhaps loading to a computer, perhaps. If you want to have a massive thing next to the computer, or just decorating and listening to cassettes or CDs, especially if your grandparents or something have still got a load of cassettes they like to listen to. This is fine because you see those adverts for those Crossley things in the back of the kind of Daily Mail magazines and stuff like that. And those things are horrendous. This will do everything. They're not going to hear the little buzzes and clicks and stuff. We'll do a proper frequency analysis now. So I've got a commercial cassette from Betty Boo that I've played in the tape deck, and I've also got a digital copy of the same song. It's let me take you there. Apologies for the change in microphone. We're screen recording at the other side of the room. And here's I've taken a 18.5 second excerpt of the song. Here's the digital copy. You can see there full frequency range, and it's exactly as it should be, depending on how the master's been played around with. And we can get the frequency analysis up, and you can see there, nice healthy graph as you'd expect. Now let's go over to the tape deck version that we've played back from the original 1990s commercially released cassette, and it's not disastrous. You can see there's frequency, kind of high frequency there. It's just not as you'd want it. If we flick between the two there, it's just lacking energy, really. It's, again, what you'd expect from a cheap tape deck It sounds. I've put the same cassette into my normal Sony Hi-Fi separate, and yeah, okay, it doesn't match the digital, but it sounds far closer to it than this kind of cheaper deck. It's by no means disastrous. I made some recordings on the Sony, and we're going to hear the difference between what the audio going in is and what the audio when it's played back is. And in this case, you're going to hear the Chinny Vision theme first of all, and then you're going to hear the recording made on the Sony deck, but critically played back on my proper hi-fi separate. So there's going to be no more kind of extra compromise. This is going to be the best you can get out of this deck. Standard ferric Memorex cassette, the clown cassette, the one we looked at a couple of years ago. So here we go, and first of all we've got the original master copy. And now you're going to hear it as recorded on the Sony deck. And you can see on the screen here, well, the waveform isn't exactly coming out the same. I mean, obviously the original's quite clipped, that's how it's mastered, but we have significant level variations. If you look at the frequency response graph at the bottom of the heat map, you can see, as you'd expect, you're losing a lot over 10 kilohertz there. I'll just liven that up there. So yeah, I mean, it's trying to make that more linear there, just so we can see that there. Yeah, it's losing it where you'd expect it to up the top end. That's not surprising. Not quite the 10 kilohertz top off the manual says, so you've got a little bit more there. Obviously it's a lot of noise, and this is the thing with having a permanent magnet erase head. It makes the recordings far noisier. So it's going to, you know, the ferric tape can do far better than this, but this is how, you know, this is what happens. And if we look at some other recordings here, I've made, this is the, we'll actually go back to this is the recordings made on the deck and played back on the same deck. And this up here, I'll play a brief bit of it. You won't be able to hear that too much because of copyright. That's I did copying directly from the CD. So I had a CD and then I pressed record and it recorded. So that's probably it's probably got the level ideal there. It's probably the ideal recording. So yeah, it gets maxing out there. Yeah, you're getting a fair amount of. This is a frequency analysis. I mean, it's dropping off. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as that deck we saw before, where it was kind of rolling off at what, 8 kilohertz, something like that. So it's not disastrous. We can actually go and look at, if we had a multi-track there, we have Late at Night by Maywood, which I can't play you. And we have, if I normalise this here a bit, get that normalised up. One thing I have noticed with the recordings is I've given it plenty of level on the aux input, but it was still, you can see it's there way down where it needs to be. And of course you've got no level control or monitoring on it. So it's a bit all over the place in terms of it. I could have given it more welly on the input, but there appears to be no gain at all and no way to monitor. And some tape decks have an AGC that kind of adjusts the level automatically, which is both a good and a bad thing. But let's just put that up there. So we've got Late at Night by Maywood. And the remarkable thing here is tape speed. Now, I was hearing a little bit of wow and flutter on that Chinny Vision tune. You could hear it. But actually, if you look at across this 3-minute song, I've synced up the beats down here. So it's spot on. Let's make sure we're absolutely spot on there. There you go, we're on the peak there. That's fine. Now, if we get down to the end, there, we've got the digital copy at the bottom there, and the cassette at the top. If we go in, the cassette copy is very, very slightly slow, and I mean not much, not imperceivably. You can just see it there. If I cut that there like that, let's get rid of that down there, and just do a bit of retiming here. If I get it down to there, it's not even one. It's like 0.01. Because I'd have to be down here. See, 99%'s down there, and that's 1% there at 3,525, and we're up at a whole second. Yeah, there's barely anything in it, barely anything at all in that. So that waveform there, if I retime that there, should be there, and yeah, there's nothing in that. Nothing in it. They are perfectly. Yeah, it's a tiny amount of slowness on the deck, but you'll get that. You'll never. And it's got a high-end deck. You can see it again there. We're 3 minutes in, and you've lost. You are that much behind. Oh, I'm so far zoomed in. I mean. It's nothing. I'm surprised, because a lot of decks are out significantly these days, especially modern ones. And this one, yeah, over 45 minutes of one-sided cassette, yeah, it's going to add up. But to your ears, you are not going to remotely hear that amount of speed difference. So it's the following day now. Last night I couldn't find my 3 kHz calibration cassette, but now I have it, and I'm just going to put it into the deck. And first of all, if you just press play in the deck when you've plugged it in, it won't work. You need to take it off standby. So that's a new one on me. But yeah, you have to take it off standby. But this is a calibration cassette I bought off someone online. It's been recorded at 3 kHz on a good quality cassette on a calibrated deck. And you generally use it with a wow and flutter meter to measure the variations in motor speed on your deck. Now, the thing is, I don't have a wow and flutter meter. I'm not Tecmo, as I've probably said about 27 times today. But we can load this into Audition and just see vaguely what's going on. And here we are. And first of all, again, that noise figure down there, yeah, that's quite high. But if we play it, and I won't subject you to the full 3 kHz horror, a little bit of variation on the meters there, but what we want to look at is this heat map on here showing the frequencies. And ignore the harmonics, because that will happen. But what I'm actually very interested in is, first of all, these little noises down here. What's going on there and what's going on down there. That's, remember I said the deck makes little kind of electronic low-level noises when it's not doing anything, when it's doing something but it hasn't muted it. Well, we can see stuff going on down here. Look, that's just like, that's some bad shielding within the unit. That's just tape drop out there. But we are... I'd expect that to be centered exactly at 3 kHz, and it's not. It's actually... looks like it's marginally... yeah, again, it's just marginally fast. Didn't we find it was marginally slow last night? But we were looking at a C90 last night, and this is a C20 test cassette. So far less tape on the spool, that could account for any speed differences on a cheap deck, weight of the tape. There's going to be no compensation or anything like that, so that could be it. Or it could just be different. It could be anything really, but that's my best guess. But yeah, there's a lot of... it's noisy, and there's just these weird little kind of bits of... Again, another one there. More noise going on there. Let's get a frequency analysis on it. There we are. So we want that little, if I can zoom that up more for you there. That peak there should be bang on 3 kilohertz. You can see it's not. It's actually at, get my cursor on there, 3082 hertz. So 3.02 kilohertz. And is it moving around? Let's keep the mouse cursor there. It is. It's very... I mean, you will get this with tape decks. It's called wow and flutter. But it is just gently moving around there. I hold the mouse on it. Not much. Let's try and line the mouse up there. So I've got the mouse at the edge there. We're on log there, so... Yeah, it's very slight. It's not... I don't think it's terrible, again. It's kind of what you'd expect. If I can get this in another way of... showing it. It's not all over the shop. It's the left to right motion I'm more concerned with rather than the up and down, although again you want as little of that as possible. Yeah, it's not fantastic, but it's not absolutely dreadful. It's just getting away with the cheapest stereo deck you can get, really, and it's by no means the worst one I've ever seen. It is just noisy. It is just cheap. It's cheap, basically, and it's adequate for playing back tapes, and you certainly wouldn't want to record on it. So here we are at the end of an excruciatingly long test. And you can probably go and get this stuff more succinctly from Techmoan. I can't remember what he said, so it's going to be interesting to go and see what he says. What do I think of this unit? Well, I paid £30 for it. No way would I pay £80 for this. But if you're seeing this on sale in Sainsbury's for £30, then grab it. If you need a little kind of radio cassette player with CD, the lack of DAB is a massive problem, and I have highlighted issues with this unit, the kind of like just and the nasty buttons and what have you. But compared to me having my Sharp up there, it looks beautiful on the shelf, and people say go buy an original one. Yes, but unless you get that original one fully serviced, and remember I've already replaced the speakers in that have cost more than this unit in total, those 2 new speakers, because I put good speakers in it. They cost more than that, and then it was a couple of hours to do that job, and there was soldering and all sorts. So yeah, a 1980s boombox would have been better, but as John Nathan Turner used to say, the memory cheats, because actually those units were never... They were good at the time, but our expectations have raised. And yes, it's got a very MIDI output. It sounds like 2 fairly cheap speakers in a box, kind of making kind of just that kind of noise that you expect from a unit that's kind of this size. And the audio isn't, fantastic, but we are so spoilt these days. No, the tape deck isn't fantastic, but the wow and flutter and frequency response are better than my Sharp unit up there. No, it's not hi-fi quality. It never will be that, but it's stereo, and it kind of does the job for your parents or grandparents who might want to listen to. Someone said they bought one of these for their, I can't remember if it was parents or grandparents, to listen to Pavarotti cassettes on that they bought in the 90s. It'll do that fine. For your ropey Maywood cassette, probably the oxide's all falling off, it'll do it fine. You're not going to be transferring stuff. There's no way. You cannot transfer your cassettes onto your computer to your sound card using this, because there's too much background noise and general rubbish in there. But you wouldn't do that with that Sharp up on the shelf I showed you earlier either, because that's got background noise. You're going to have something like the Sony you'd have seen the cutaway shots of to do that. It's a proper high quality tape deck with a high quality mechanism, no background noise and so on. And that's what that type of deck is for. And if you're going to buy a modern version of that, then the Tascams, I believe, are okay, but not spectacular. This is okay, but not spectacular. It does a job. DAB would have been nice, as I say, but it works. And it's a Sony, and it's a bit like you don't buy a Ferrari to go down to Asda, do you? You're quite happy in a Hyundai. The Hyundai will do a perfectly good job of getting you to Asda and back. You may not want to drive from Southampton to John O'Groats in the Hyundai. You may want a BMW or what have you, Jaguar, big comfy Jag to do all those miles in with the big leather seats that are comfy, and just you glide up the motorway in. This is a Hyundai. This is a shopping trolley. It just does the job, basically. And if that's what you need, that's cool. And I can't really criticise the shortcomings of this. At the price I paid, perhaps at the full retail price, yes. But if you're looking for this kind of thing, and you're passing Sainsbury's or somewhere where these things are being heavily discounted, grab one, because it does a job. It's unexciting, it's not exotic, but it does a job.